Welcome to Cavalletta Studios. I'm Chris. This class is focused on a set series of postures to help you if you have osteopenia or the start of osteoporosis. Each posture is held for about 30 seconds, and at the end I'll give you some tips and tricks for improving your mobility and lessen the chance of injury. You will need a yoga strap or a long belt, even a towel might work, and a yoga block. So let's get started. The first posture we're going to start with for strengthening and warming up our core is tabletop or extended tabletop. So you're going to bring your hands under your shoulders, spread out those fingers. Now you'll notice I have a yoga blanket under my knees. You can use a towel. You don't have to use anything. You can put a pillow. This just helps because we're going to hold every posture for 30 seconds. So spread out those fingers. You can also use a block for your hands or anything else that you might have for your wrist if you need to, or even the knuckles. So relax the shoulders. I want you to feel the belly pulling into the spine. So we're going to extend the right arm straight out from the shoulder. If this is plenty, you can stay here. If you want more of a challenge, you extend the left leg out from the hip towards the back of your mat. Relax your shoulders, pull them away from your ears. Let's start to breathe as we start our timer. Go ahead and look down at your thumb. Make sure your left hip is gently rolling down towards the floor, but you're lifting that left leg at the same time and pulling that belly in. We're breathing so those hips are level. You can feel the muscles. You might start to get a little shaky, but that's okay because this is how we strengthen the muscle and the bone. Challenging ourselves. We're just about there. Continue breathing. And we are there. So go ahead and bring your hand and your knee down to the floor. Take a breath in. Reach the left arm from the shoulder. And then slowly extend that right leg, out to the back. And again, you can only have to do a leg or an arm. And let's begin our 30 seconds again. Extending and holding. This is a great practice for strengthening the core. Level out that right hip, flex that right heel, ankle, pushing that heel to the back of your mat, reaching those fingertips towards the front. Warming up that core. Maybe you just have your leg out and your arms are both on the floor. That's okay too. Play around, and that's our 30 seconds. Go ahead and come all the way back to the floor. Now we're going to transition to locust. Now you can go straight down to your belly. You can put the belly on the blanket, your hips and belly. So I want you to take your time working all the way back down. You do not have to have anything under your hips. I just think it's a lot more comfortable because we're holding it for 30 seconds. So a couple options. You can come all the way down. And maybe you just stay here, lengthening and putting a little pressure on the arms if the locust is too much. Otherwise, we're going to bring the arms, sweep them up and behind you, turn your palms down, open up the chest, extend those legs as much as you can, and really fire up the quads. And let's begin our 30 seconds. And you're also breathing. Now you're lengthening and opening through the chest. And option 2 is to bring your feet off the floor. That's a little more advanced, or you can keep your feet on the floor, depending on what feels good to your back. You're looking diagonally out in front of you so your neck is long and you're not tilting the head back or too far down. And you're breathing. It's a great way to strengthen the muscles and the bones, and that's 30 seconds. Come all the way back down. Go ahead and take a child's pose. Stretch yourself all the way back, knees apart, feet together. It's just a great stretch for the low back. And you can move your blanket or your towel out of the way because we're going to move now coming up off the floor. So I'm just going to slide my blanket out of the way. And if you need a wall or a chair, go ahead and come up. But we're going to tuck our toes under and then slowly come all the way up off of the floor. And then we're going to come to the middle of our mat. Now we're moving on. Now that we're up off the floor, we're going to go to chair, Uttanasana. So we're going to bring the big toes together and squeeze the thighs together. Pull the shoulders back and down, just like you're sitting in a chair. I'm going to turn sideways. So the key here is to engage the core, lift and lengthen, start to bend the knees and shift your hips back like you're going into a chair. Now the key is not to round. We want to stay long and hinge those hips back. Do you start to feel maybe a stretch in the glutes and strength in those thighs? Now we're going to bring the arms up diagonally. Now if you feel like your arms don't come up and they're only out here by the shoulders, feel free to have the hands at the heart space. But it also is great if you can get them somewhat out there because it's strengthening the back. So let's melt into our chair and start our 30 seconds. Here we go. And this is very good for the legs, looking maybe between your fingertips or straight ahead if there's any issues going on with your neck. I'm going to show both sides here. I'm forward to you. See if you can sink a little deeper, never wanting to lose your balance if you're by a wall. So from this posture on, the wall is a great thing, or a steady chair, so we can have some support, and then that's our 30 seconds. Go ahead and press through those legs and come all the way up to mountain. Fantastic. Moving on to the next posture. We're already going on number 4. So this is tree. Most of you are probably familiar with tree. Now tree, I highly recommend using a wall. The wall is great for balance if you are having any kind of issues with your bones, if they're weak, or your osteopenia, osteoporosis, you want to stay safe and not fall. So the block is a great tool as well as the wall. So option 1, we're going to start with our right leg. So ground into that left foot. Maybe bring your foot onto the block, and that is totally fine. Palms at heart space. Other options, I'm going to show you one, is just to press your foot into your calf. And you can be right there. Option 2, or 3 I should say, is bring your foot into your thigh and press your thigh into your foot. And then lift those arms again, and we're going to start our 30 seconds now. And just breathe, relax those shoulders. So this is balance and strength. If you feel a little wobbly, make sure you're by a wall. You can always lean against the wall. You can place your fingertips on the wall. And you're breathing just about there. Almost with our 30 seconds. Thumbs go to the back. And breathe. I think we're about at our 30 seconds. Yes, we are there. So go ahead and slowly release. And let's try the other side. So again, adjust, use the wall. One foot, also one leg or foot might be easier to balance on. So now grounding into that right foot, use the wall. You can hug it in. I'll even demonstrate, lean back into it. Maybe just now you can easily lift the foot because you got your hips against the wall. But finding that balance, or place that foot into the thigh, leaning into it. Open up that left knee. Bending that left knee. If it's hard to bend the knee that far, then what you can do is, again, just use the block and bring it up on that. All right, and then let's lift the arms. Let's find our 30 seconds again. And breathe. So I gave you lots of time to figure out what was a best place for you. Making sure wherever you are with your foot, it is not pressing into your knee. You're above the knee or below the knee, because we don't want to put that pressure on the knee joint. That 30 seconds is just about there. Almost. I'm hoping it's there, right? I'm watching my timer. All right, we are done. Go ahead and bring it down. Excellent. So now what I'm going to have you do is put a block at, if you only have one block, then you're going to be moving it side to side, or even better is the wall, especially for this one, half moon, Urdhva Chandrasana. So for the wall or the half moon, your block, nice and tall. Another option is a chair with no wheels that doesn't roll away. Highly recommend using the wall. Turn your toe so it's in alignment, and you're probably maybe a few inches away from the wall. I'm about 3 to 4 inches. And then I'm going to stand tall on my right leg. Lean against the wall with your right hip, and then lift your left hip and leg up, 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 up. And pretend like there's a magnet on your heel. Your foot is flexing and it's pulling towards that wall. And then lean forward and grab hold of that block. Try the other arm up in the air. That left arm is up. Now, option is to move slightly away from the wall, or try to get that top left hip to push. We got our timer going. It just started, and we're breathing. I almost forgot to set that timer. And feel the strength and the stretch. Now, this is a great one for the hips because we are opening them up and we're getting blood flow. So when we get blood flow to the hips, it's helping with the nutrients and oxygen and getting that bone healthier. And that's what we want. Making sure that right leg is straight but not locked out, and that's the end of our time. Slowly bring that leg all the way down, nice and slow, and then come all the way up. And we're going to try the other side. So why don't you just take that little break and then get the block, move it to the other side. And maybe you don't need the wall at all. Maybe you have great balance, fantastic. But again, stay safe. Leaning, right leg, turn it so it's along the side of the wall, going the same way, 3 to 4 inches out. And then maybe you reach for your block first and lean against the wall, and then open it up. Reach that arm up. Over and over, up, up, up and over. The timer is going. We're going to flex that right foot. Feel a magnet of your foot pulling to the wall and that top right hip pulling to the wall. If you want to challenge your balance, don't let your top hand touch the wall, or even your leg, or maybe even your hip. Relax your shoulders and just breathe. Now, maybe you're more advanced and you can go lower. Again, lots of options. I want you to go where you feel comfortable going. That's the end of our 30 seconds. Go ahead and bend that top leg and lower it all the way down. Excellent. Go ahead and set your block to the side and come all the way back up. Oh, a couple of shoulder rolls, so we're going to move on. We're going to turn towards the front of our mats. Excellent. I want you to take your right foot forward towards the front of your mat and take your left foot back probably about 2 feet. So you can just take a step together and go 1, 2. So whatever feels good to you. Turn your hips towards the front of your mat and then take your left foot maybe a little wider. So think of yourself on narrow railroad tracks with your feet. And that left leg is slightly turned out because you want to really rotate. So warrior 1, Virabhadrasana 1, draw those arms up and back. So warrior 1, bend into that front knee, and we're going to start our timer. So the hips are forward. Balance your body weight between the front leg and the back leg. So you've probably heard of warrior 1 if you've done a little bit of yoga. Maybe you're just getting started because you've been told it would be good for your body and your bones, and it is. And just breathe. And this also will jump your energy. Now let's make sure too, while we're here, that we can see our big toe and our knee is not over our toe at all. We are done with our 30 seconds. Bring your palms down to heart space, and then just pivot your feet all the way around to the other side. Just a big turn. So you might have to adjust. I still had to move my feet. Bend into that left knee. Bring your right foot out slightly so it's closer to the outer edge of my mat, and rotate both hips to the front. Let's bend into that front knee and make sure it's over the ankle. Draw both arms up and relax them into the back. And let's start our 30 seconds here. And just breathe. Now, if you're just starting to get into yoga, this is a great way just to challenge the body. Let's focus on our breath and opening up the hip. When you lift your arms overhead, the muscles are having to work to hold them up. So it's good for the spine as well. Continue breathing. Press into the outer edge of your back right foot and then lower the arms. That was our 30 seconds. And then come back to center. Let's take the legs nice and wide on your mat. Now this is where you're going to want a block. All right, so I'm going to turn my right foot towards the front of my mat, and I'm going to take my yoga block and place it right on the inside edge of my right foot. And the left leg is turned out to the side, so my feet are like an L, and you're going to sit nice and tall. So your hips are both facing the side of the mat this time instead of the front, like before. And we're going to keep those legs straight. I want you to take both hands on the hips, and now shift your hips to the back of your mat. I always call that the attitude, like the teenage hip thing, give it a little attitude. Now take your right arm and reach it to the front of your mat, thumb is up. Start to reach forward, forward, forward. Lengthen through the spine. And then bring your hand down towards the block. Bring your left hand up to the sky. So we're in triangle, Trikonasana. Lengthen through the neck. Now, maybe you can go lower and you can reach the ankle. But the key here, we're going to start our 30 seconds here, right here. The key here is not to let your left hip rotate down. Open up that top left hip. Again, maybe your hands are on the block, maybe they're a little lower, and that arm is way up high. Lengthening, lengthening, feeling the stretch through the side. If this causes any pain, you can come a little higher. And just breathe. Keep on breathing, we're almost there. Shoulders relaxed, we are done with our 30 seconds. So take your left hand in the air, bring it all the way down towards your shin or your thigh. And I want you to lengthen through the spine. So we're keeping our legs right where they are. We're going to revolve our triangle. So turn your belly towards your thigh. I want you, before you go anywhere, flatten out the back. You're going to feel the stretch through the back of your right leg. Reach your left hand towards the block, or you can even keep it on the thigh. The key here is to keep your back as flat as you can, and then start to rotate by dropping your left hip towards the floor and twisting your right shoulder towards the sky. And just keep your right hand on your right hip for now. And let's start our 30 seconds. If you want more of a challenge, you can always bring your right arm up to the sky. And we're going to breathe. Continue breathing. Check in with what you have going on. Good. This one's a little more challenging. So you might push those into the outer edges of your feet. Now try pushing into the arches. Notice the difference. And our 30 seconds is up. Go ahead and bring that arm down. Bend slightly into the front knee so you can bring both hands to the thighs and come all the way up. Now, if you only have one, you can bring it to the back of the mat or just set it to the outside edge of your foot if you have two. Turn your right foot towards the side of the mat and turn your left foot to the back of the mat. We're just switching sides. And then go ahead and place that block on the inside of your left foot. Both legs are straight. Your feet are like an L. Hands on the hips, hips turn to the side. So again, little bit of a hip movement. Slide that right hip to the back, front of your mat technically as you lean your left shoulder down, and then bring your left hand to the block. We're really lengthening through the back. So if you find yourself rounding or arching, not good, very challenging for the vertebrae, and it can actually hurt your vertebrae. That's why you'll see we won't do any rounding forward folds, because if you have osteoporosis, that's not what you want to do. We started our 30 seconds, and the arm is coming up, and we're breathing. Think about rotating that top right hip further up and open, and relax into it. Bringing that arm up. If this is too much, you can always bring your hand to your hip. Feel the legs are nice and straight. You're feeling that hip, that top hip. And then we're gonna stay long through the spine, relax those shoulders a little more. Our 30 seconds is up. So take your right hand, slowly bring it down, lengthen through the spine as you start to twist your chest towards your thigh. Really, really lengthen. Think about flat back. So you're feeling the hamstring stretch in that left leg. Option here, bring your left hand to the hip, right hand to your block. Start to rotate to the left. Now you can stay here or you can bring your left arm up. And you're breathing, or keep that hand. The 30 seconds has started. And we're breathing. And it's amazing, you wouldn't think 30 seconds is very long, but it definitely is when you are challenging your body in a new posture or one that you have been doing, but it's been a while. Pushing into the edges of the feet, feeling that strength, lengthening. We are done with our 30 seconds. Bring both hands to the thighs. Soften your left knee and walk yourself up. Open up the chest. Now that we finished our revolved triangle, we're going to go to warrior two. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring the block. I want you to place the block, a block, against a wall or fireplace or whatever you have. And I'm going to start on my left side so you can see. Now option one, so I want you to bring your feet, your back, I'm going to start with my left because it's my left wall and I can face you. Right leg is out to the side. Very same posture we had, but instead of having a straight leg on the one leg, we're going to do a bent knee. So I'm going to place my left foot on top of my block. My right foot is angled and I'm going to bend my knee. Now the key is not to let your knee go over your toes. So this just keeps us safe so we're not bending too far into it. And then you're going to bring the leg back and you're going to bend, you're going to reach those arms out to the side. So this is an option. If you're really tight and you're feeling like warrior two, you can't get too deep into it. And it also helps with the knees. So that is one option. And then you take your hand, left hand, and place it against the wall. And you're going to press against the wall. Now we're going to start our 30-second timer right here. Now look over to your left hand on the wall and press your right hand away from you as you press into the wall and press your foot, left foot into that block. And just breathe. Feeling the strength coming up from your foot to your hips, to your legs, pushing into your hand in the wall, feeling the shoulder and the back strength. Continue to press and hold and breathe. And our 30 seconds is up. Good, go ahead and straighten the leg, step off of your block. Now you're going to do the opposite side. So I'm going to turn around and then I'm going to have my feet nice and wide. Left side leg and then place my right foot on the block, right hand on the wall. And again, you don't have to use the wall, you can go here, but it's really nice. You get a little extra work pressing into that block. Right hand into the wall, bending into it as deep as you can go, and then let's start our timer. Pressing into the block, pressing into the wall, reaching those fingertips behind you, lengthening through the spine, making sure your shoulders peek down and they're over your hips. Press, press, press. Use those muscles. Press as hard as you can and you're breathing into the wall. Push into the block. Press, press, press. Almost there. Good, and our time is done. 30 seconds is up. Come on back. Now we're going to go into our last one before we go to the floor. So this one is side angle. So we're going to take our feet nice and wide. Wide on the mat, both facing the front. We're going to stay sideways. We're going back to the right foot now. I'm going to turn my right toe to the front of my mat, and I'm going to have my block on the back side of my right foot. Now we're going to bend into that right knee just like we did before for warrior two. But the key here is to look down and make sure you can see your big toe, so your knee's not collapsing into the left, it's opening up, and your knee stays over the ankle. Then you're going to start to stay tall through the spine and hinge and feel the side of the waist bending so your right shoulder goes closer to that right knee. Reach your right hand either to the thigh, your forearm to the thigh, or to the block. And then lift your left hand over your head. You can even sweep it down below you to get fancy and over your head. And then push. We're going to start our timer. And then push into that foot on the floor, both feet pressing into the floor. Feel the feet lifting you, your strength, and your breathing. Our side angle. Continue to breathe. You can do this. Press into that right heel. Feel that shoulder. Relax your neck a little. Our 30 seconds is up, so bring your top arm, sweep it back down. Press through your right foot. Come all the way up. Straighten your right leg, turn your toe to the center of that mat. Turn your left foot out. Now this is where you would grab your block if you have one and bring it to the outside of your left foot, or just move your left block over there. We're going to bend into that left knee. Double check. Where's your spacing? Did you need to bring your feet further apart? Probably did. So open up that chest, tall spine, start to hinge at that hip. Feel it yourself, your left shoulder coming down towards your left knee. Option, forearm on the thigh, or hand to the block. Right arm, sweep it down below you, and then reach over your head. Let's start our timer. Pressing into both feet, lengthening. This can be very challenging, but your muscles and your bones will appreciate it. That shakiness is actually a good thing. It's a very good thing. That means your brain is communicating with your muscles and teaching them what to do in an unstable environment. How cool is that? That your body is relearning, learning how to stabilize around the joints of the body. And that's our 30 seconds. Bring that arm down and around and come all the way back up. Straighten that leg, turn the toe in. Good, let's just gently heel toe or break up the feet and walk them in together. Now we're going to take our time getting all the way down to the floor, facing the front of your mat. So go ahead and turn, set your yoga blocks to the side, and let's lower ourselves all the way down. Now shortly you'll need your yoga strap, so make sure you grab that on your way down to the ground and keep it nice and close. We're going to lower ourselves all the way onto our backs, and our feet are going to be flat on the mat, knees bent. Walk your feet in towards your hips and reach those fingers down towards your ankles. And let's take a bridge, Setu Bandhasana. Press through the feet, gently lift the hips, lengthen through the spine. So this is very good for strengthening that whole torso area and the glutes, as well as flexing. We're going to start our timer right here. Make sure your shoulders are relaxed and you're pressing through your feet. You're not overarching, you're lengthening through the spine. This is also very good for the glutes. Continue breathing. No pressure on the shoulders or the head. The legs, the glutes, the core is working. This is a great one. You can do this one all the time. Heck, do it in the morning right when you wake up. That's the end of our 30 seconds. Go ahead and slowly lower those hips. We're going to give our knees a squeeze, release any tension. Excellent. Now we're going to extend one leg. This is where you want to grab your strap, your yoga strap, and you're going to, or if you don't have a yoga strap, a towel, a belt, anything like that will work. And you're going to hook that strap on the bottom of your right foot and extend it up to the sky. Now your left leg is straight out on the floor, pressing into the floor. And just breathe here. Feel that nice stretch. We're starting our 30 seconds. pressing that foot. Now, as you press your foot upwards like your heel and you're pulling with the arms on the strap, press your left leg into the mat as well. So you're really firing up all those muscles. It doesn't take much to make the muscles work. We just have to focus on what we're doing. So press, press, press that left leg into the mat and extending that right leg up. That's the end of our 30 seconds. So you're going to keep that holding onto the strap. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take your right leg and let it fall open to the right side. I'm really close to the wall, and maybe you're close to a wall and you can let your foot rest on the wall, or you just hold the strap. Some of you might be able to grab your big toe if you're flexible and hold it out. Try to keep your left hip down on the floor so your hips are level and your right leg is straight out to the right side. And then we're pressing the left leg into the mat, and we're going to start our 30 seconds right now. And breathe, both shoulders on the floor. If your head doesn't hit the floor, feel free to throw a blanket under your head, or if it's uncomfortable, and just feel that nice stretch on those inner thighs. Again, when we do these hip openers, it really brings nutrients into the tissue, which does help our bones as well. So that's why it's how often do we do a single leg straddle out to the side? Not very often. So your body appreciates it. And again, maybe you loosen the slack on your strap and you're holding it up with the leg. That's the end of our 30 seconds. So go ahead and bend the knee, bring it into the center. Now, easy way is to bring your left leg up and push it into the strap and let your right leg come all the way back down to the floor. I'm going to scoot to the other side of my mat, and then we're going to stretch up that left leg. Press your right leg into the mat as we start our 30 seconds. So just notice the difference as well. Maybe one hamstring is tighter than the other. So when we lengthen that tissue by holding the stretch, again, science is telling us when we hold these stretches, it is pulling in oxygen and nutrients into not only the muscle, but the fascia tissue, which is the connective tissue through our whole body. And that's the end of our 30 seconds. So now we're going to take that left leg and let it come open to the left side, all the way out to the side. Keeping your right hip down. Push that right hip, right leg into the mat, and we're going to start our 30 seconds right now. Good. Now the fascia connective tissue, the science is telling us that if we sit a lot, it starts to get kind of knotted up in certain areas of the body, and that's more like when we get kind of weak and the tissue is not getting worked enough, not enough exercise or not enough movement in the body. So movement can be anything, cleaning a little bit more, sitting and standing, in and out of a chair. And that's the end of our 30 seconds. So we're slowly going to bring that up all the way. Go ahead and bend the knee, and we're going to take that foot out of the strap. And go ahead and set your strap to the side. And you can bend both knees, and I want you to work your way all the way up to a seated position. Roll to your knees to a side and sit all the way up. And then we're going to straighten out both legs to the front. And then bring your right leg across the left thigh. Place the foot flat on the floor, and we're going to hug the knee into the chest. And then I want you to turn your upper body, always lengthen through the base of the spine first, and then pull the knee into the chest as you twist to the right. The hand can be on the floor behind you like a kickstand. We're going to start our 30 seconds. And just breathe here. Feel the lovely stretch through the glutes, flexing that left foot, pressing it into the floor. And just breathe. And then after this one, you're just about there. Feel that stretch in the glutes. And we're done, and then we're going to release. Good. Go ahead and switch legs. So you're going to take your right leg and then hug it in. Place that foot on the floor, hug the left knee. Always sit up tall through your spine. Left hand behind you, and let's twist and hold. And breathe. 30 seconds has started. Press your right leg, flex it and press it into the floor. And breathe. So hopefully you feel like you've got a little bit of a workout, strengthening those muscles, challenging them slightly. Building bone strength is very important. And just continuing your yoga practice. But those are some basic ones to practice as often as you can, and holding those stretches for 30 seconds. And we're done with our 30 right there. So I'm going to give you one more seated one. Now you can go back and do another one with the bent knee, or I'm going to take my right leg and tuck it under to my left hip, nice and close. Now my left leg, you can bring it up and place it on the inside of the shin, or maybe you can bring it across. If it doesn't go across, keep it right there on the inside of the knee, and then we're going to lift and twist. Another 30 seconds, hugging it in. So lift through that spine. This also is a great massage for the organs and all down here in the gut, keeping things moving and functional and healthy for us. So my challenge to you is, when you get in and out of a chair, a couple things to remember. Never round your back and plop into a chair if you have osteoporosis. Very dangerous for the vertebrae, because they can cause a fracture doing that. So you always want to sit tall and lower yourself into a chair with strength of your legs. Hold on if you need to, and practice. That's the end of our 30 seconds. So go ahead and unwind, and we're going to do the other side. So now I'm going to tuck my left foot into my glute, hug my right knee in. It can be flat on the floor on the inside of the knee or the outside. Let's hug the right knee, and here goes our 30 seconds. So continuing with my little challenge for you, practice getting in and out of a chair without using your arms. That's one of the tests the doctors always do when we get older, to make sure that you're not at risk for falls. So if you're challenged to get out of a chair without your arms, then you're a little more at risk. So practice. Never make it dangerous, but working getting in and out of that solid chair. If it's easy, then go to a lower chair. That's the end of our 30 seconds. So we're going to unwind. We're going to lay all the way back down on our mat. We're going to take a brief 30-second shavasana just to finalize everything. And you're welcome to stay in that shavasana even longer. So you're going to lay all the way down onto your back. Walk your shoulders away from your ears. Close your eyes. Let your head be centered. Let your legs fall open. And just check in to see what's going on in the body. Our 30 seconds has started. And just focus on that breath. Inhaling and slowly exhaling. The eyes are closed. With each breath, you melt a little deeper into the mat. And just make yourself a little promise here that you will continue to practice movement and strengthening of the bones by holding your postures and getting in and out of a chair without using your arms as much as possible, and not plopping into the chair. One last breath. Our 30 seconds is up. Go ahead and bend the knees. Wiggle the fingers. Hug the knees into the chest. Give it a rock side to side. And then release those feet back to the floor. Go ahead and turn to your side. Use your arms to press yourself up. Let's sit up nice and tall, coming to an easy seat. And then relax. Thank you for joining me for this improve your body and keep your body strong, fighting that osteoporosis or osteopenia, or preventing it altogether by keeping movement and strength. Thank you for joining me today. Namaste.